Alright guys, what's going on? Null here, and this is going to be a quick little video talking about like the basic stuff that new players to Tekken should be focusing on, because I see this question come up a lot in streams, especially in like Eris' stream, because I'm pretty much always in there when he's playing, and people are always asking him like, what should a new player focus on, and then he ends up giving them a response like, don't talk to me, right? Because it's a dumb question. The questions that people tend to ask aren't the right question, I think. You should be asking more specific questions like, how do I beat this specific move, or how do I figure out how to punish a character or something like that. So like I said, this is going to be the first video in a series of videos that I make where I'm sort of talking about like what I think a new player should be learning when it comes to Tekken 7, because I'm a new player myself. This is the first Tekken I pick up seriously. I've played Tekken in the past, but that was before I even started playing fighting games or whatever. So even though I've only been playing the game for like 2 months since the game came out, I feel like I've learned a lot already. The problem is you know, obviously applying it, and that's where training mode comes in. And that's another thing I see a lot of people do. If somebody's streaming themselves sitting in training mode practicing, a lot of people will keep telling them, play online, play online, play online. And at the end of the day, like, you can play online forever, right? And eventually you'll learn, but why would you do that when you could just go into training mode to iron these things out and make it so that you never drop a punish, or you never drop a combo, or you never mess up your sidestep, or you never forget to duck this specific string or something like that. You do that in training mode so that when you go online, when you go to a local, a weekly, a tournament or whatever, you can make sure that you're training, or that you actually play the way that you did in your training mode, so that way you iron out all those wrinkles in your gameplay. So very quickly, we're just going to talk about block punishing, right? Here I've set up the dummy Brian to do a couple of moves here, and a lot of people will ask the question, how do I know if something is punishable? Well, in Tekken 7, anything that is -10 or greater is punishable, right? Because a jab is 10 frames. You guys can see the frame data app here on the screen, and it tells you the frame data, it tells you the input in the first column, then it tells you the type, whether it's mid, high, or low. It tells you the startup, it tells you what it is on block. It tells you what it is on hit. It tells you if there's a counter hit effect, how many active frames it has, does it track, so on and so forth, right? So if you're on PS4, then I mean, you just kind of have to figure this out, or use other resources like RB Norway or the Tekken Chicken app that you can get on your phone, and all that data is pretty accurate. So I would suggest doing that if you're on PS4. But anyways, like I was saying, anything that is -10 or greater can be at least jab punished, right? If we're getting higher, and higher up, it's character dependent. So every character has a 10 frame jab, except for characters like Jack and the Bears, I think. I'm not really sure if there's, I'm not sure if Gigas' jab is 10 frames or not. It might be. But anyways, so this is Brian's 10 frame punish. That's one of them. This is his other one, right? Now, if we're talking about moves that leave you crouching, then the threshold is -11, unless you're a character like Lee. I think Lee has a 10 frame wall standing punish, if I'm not mistaken. So every character has a wall standing 4, which is 11 frames of startup, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see this. Does it tell me? Yeah, 11 frame startup. And then Brian has a 12 frame punish. So anything that is -12 or worse can be punished by this. Anything that is -11 or worse can be punished by this. Anything that is like I think 15 or worse can be punished by this. And then anything that's like I think 18 or 20 can be punished by this, which is his Fisherman Slam, and it leads to a lot of damage. So you got to go and figure out what your character's punishes are, and how to use them. So like I said, I went through the wall standing punishes for Brian. His standing punishes are 1-4, that's a 10 frame, 2-3, that's a 10 frame, down 4, 2-1 is a 13 frame. Jet Upper is a 14 frame launcher, which is pretty rare. Then he's got moves like 4-4-1, which is an 18 frame punish. He's also got Mock Breaker, which can punish stuff like Death Fist or whatever. So like I said, here I have the dummy Brian recorded to do a bunch of different actions, right? So I don't remember what the first one is. Let's just see what he does. I'm just gonna neutral guard. So it's 1 + 2, 2. The frame data app tells me it's -14, right? So if I want to check if something punishes, obviously the game will tell you, right? I'm doing 1-4 and it says punish. So if you don't have the frame data app because you're on PS4 and you want to know if it's punishable, you record the dummy doing the move. So let me just do something here, right? You record the dummy doing the move, and then you just hold back, right? So that's his Jet Upper. Is it punishable? Okay, well, 1 didn't reach, right? So let's try down forward 2. Okay, we know it's not punishable because the frame data app tells us, but if you didn't have the frame data app, that's how you check it, right? You do the move and then you hold back and see what happens. If the dummy gets hit, it will tell you it's a punish. If he doesn't get hit, then and he blocks it, then that means that it's not a punish and it's probably not punishable. But there's another way you could probably beat it that I'll get into later on. So anyways, so here we have 1 + 2, 2, which is a homing move followed by a mid, right? And if you get hit by it, it's 36 damage. Is it a natural combo? It is. Alright. So, if Brian does this to you, like I said, you're fighting against a Brian and he keeps doing this. How do I figure out how to punish it? You go into training mode, you record him doing it, and then you go up the ladder. You figure out what your character's punishes are, and then you go up the ladder. Like, alright, that's his 10 frame. That works. That's his 13 frame. That works. That's his 14 frame. That works. So I know it's launch punishable. That doesn't work. Forward 4-1 doesn't work. So I can at least say that this move is at least -14, and the frame data app tells us exactly that it is -14. So I know that if Brian ever does this, launch him. Right? Now, here we have, what's this? Okay, this is a move that I see a lot of Brians do, and nobody ever punishes it. Especially at low levels, but you can see that the frame data app tells you it's -13. So if you play Kazuya, you can launch Brian for doing this. You do twin pistons, because twin pistons is a 13 frame while standing punish, and I think Josie has one as well. I'm not sure if it's 1, 2, it's something like that though. So Brian, all he gets is while standing 3. Alright, you could also do while standing 4. And maybe there's some lag in the match or something like that because you're playing online and you want to make sure that you punish it. Just do while standing 4. It's the same thing. And here we have everybody's favorite move. Snake Edge, right? The game tells us it's, or not the game, but the frame data app tells us it's -26 on block, which means I can do this too. And then that's 71 damage. If I didn't mess up the second part of the combo or whatever, then it would have been something like 87 or some shit like that. I don't remember exactly what the amount is, but it's a lot of damage, right? I don't like using that though because it changes sides and I suck on two-player side. So I just generally go for while standing 1. But that's pretty much how you figure out how to punish your opponent. You record the dummy doing the move that you want them to do, right? You hold back immediately after you do the move, and then you block it and you try and see if you can jab him. If jab works, okay, you move up. What's my 12 frame or 13 frame or 11 frame or 14 frame, 15 frame? Every character has like a 15 frame launcher in this game, right? Whether it be down forward 2 or up forward 4 or something like that. So go through the character that you're struggling with, figure out, okay, this guy kept doing this particular move every time, over and over and over and over and over again. How do I beat it? That's how you do it. You go into training mode, you spend the time in training mode, and you pinpoint exactly what move is killing you, and then you figure out how to beat it. So in this episode, we're talking about block punishing, but you can't obviously punish everything that your opponent does, right? Because sometimes they mix you up. The string might be a can mix-up. Maybe they stop the string early or something like that, and that's what we're going to get into in the later videos.